well. Some of the things that I think are also critical to being involved in running for the Justice of the Peace is the ability to educate oneself as well as the ability to learn on the fly. For me, I'm a very quick study. I think that anybody that knows me will tell you that I'm relatively photographic. It sometimes annoys them when we're dealing with Robert's Rules of Order. One of the jokes of one of our precinct committee people was that I read the Robert's Rules the first go round. There were about 900 pages. I missed the last two, but fortunately for me, those weren't the two that we needed that day, and I would certainly have them done by the morning. So I guess from that standpoint, the ability to learn and retain, because a lot of people can read something, but if you don't retain it, it's useless. We can all sit in courses. There's a very brief course that you get as a JP, but if you're not inclined to do additional continuing education on your own, I think that could be problematic. And for me, that's something that I do regularly. So absolutely not a problem. Understanding of people. Thomas Paine once said that to argue with a person who's renounced the use of reason is like administering medicine to the dead. It doesn't work. And so I think you have to understand when you're dealing with reasonable people, and sometimes in the JP court you're not dealing with reasonable people. And so I think you have to understand when there comes a point where you say, okay, you've just got to make a decision. And that's something that I bring to the table. I don't worry about popularity. I think sometimes you have to make decisions that aren't popular. As a mom, I think I've done a really good job. I think my daughter and how well she's done in life kind of speaks for my ability to communicate with and motivate and mentor the youth. And since a lot of youth issues do end up before our courts, whether it be from victims of the domestic violence problems that unfortunately are sometimes in our neighborhoods, or whether it be kids that are involved in truancy issues and helping to get them on the right track. Those are things that I've got a lot of experience with. I was the youth outreach coordinator for our district for the Republican Party. I've been the advisor for the TARS group at the high school. I took 2 groups of kids to Washington, D.C., 2 different years, took about 25 kids each time to Washington, D.C., and was able to mentor them. And a lot of those kids, it's 6 to 8 years later, for some of them, they're still in contact with me because of the influence, the positive influence that I had on their lives. Likewise, I was a chaperone for a wildlife biology class through South Mountain Community College. We took them on a trip which was supposed to be with the Mexican wolf reintroduction. We ended up in the middle of the Wallow Fire, and I was able to turn that around into still a great experience for everybody and a learning experience. And I think that's something that, again, being able to adapt, I guess, is what that illustrates, my ability to adapt to the situation, turn it around, get everybody buying in. And I think that's the same thing with when you're looking at justice also, that people aren't always going to win their case. In fact, somebody always is losing their case. But if you can communicate to them why, and they understand that you're applying the rules fairly and that you're not playing favorites, that you understand what the rules are and you can show them what they did or didn't do, then I think that's going to make them feel like they had their day in court and it was a fair day in court, not just a day in court. And they're going to, they may not be happy because it wasn't the outcome they wanted, but they'll understand, and so they won't be unhappy. And I think that's something that's really important to the bench, and something that I would definitely bring.
Just to add just a quick line to the previous question about efficiencies, that was after I finished. I thought the one thing that would be my nature, and that I've done in other situations in the corporate world where I've been moved from one division to another, one company to another, is you go to the person who's next in charge, in this case would be the court manager, and talk to that person and find out, okay, what do you see? Because that person's been there, and they've probably got a whole bunch of good ideas on how we could be more efficient, save money, et cetera. So that would be one of the first things I would do. The other thing I want to say in terms of a wrap-up is that I've been on the firing line for the last 10 years. I've been at the point where the pressure is. So, and making decisions that affect the welfare of the entire state. So making decisions that affect the welfare of the people that are in front of me in a court is nothing new to me, something that I have practice in a discipline with. The other thing that I think is important is that it is integrity, reputation, and I had one of the nicest things said about me ever I got an award from the State of Arizona Chamber of Commerce, and the fellow who's the head of the chamber said if there's one legislature that I would emulate my life in terms of integrity and morality, it would be John McComish, and giving me that award. And I thought, wow, that's pretty good. And in terms of fairness, in fairness to all, in the last 6 weeks I've gotten awards from higher education, from business, kind of legacy awards, if you will, now that I'm leaving the legislature, from unions, and just recently from the art community. So I think that pretty much covers any category that you could find, which I'm being a little braggadocious, but I'm proud of. So I think the reputation, integrity, fairness. I can't emphasize enough the court order. You have to be in charge. You have to have a sense that the person with the gavel in their hand is in charge, and I've been playing that role in one way or another for a long time now, even in the business world as a national sales manager and things before that. I'm used to running things, and that I think that's a talent that would carry over. So, and finally, I thank you for this opportunity.